right front and center.
Boom. Shakalaka. Shogun.
How's everybody doing? God bless you guys. Due to the fact that I am in Texas right now, as you're watching this, we had to pre-record this. So, but either way, we want to give you guys an amazing episode. Let's Just Talk every single Tuesday. And it's at 4:30. Well, no, it's going to be 4 now, huh? 4 to 5:30 every single Tuesday now. And we just got some topics, things to talk about. Nobody here's a journalist. We're just regular guys just talking about all kinds of different stuff that's going on in the church, around the world, in politics, in the news, wherever, wherever it is, something to talk about. So anyways, man, we got a couple subjects we want to talk about.
Yeah. Do we want to start off with Hanna-Barbera?
Hey, what you got going there?
All right. So I was watching this clip, and I'm like, I've seen this guy before. But well, you know what? We just want to start off because we just finished Resurrection Day or Easter Sunday, whatever you want to call it, whatever you choose to call it. But this is this pastor that for his Sunday service, I guess I don't have any words because usually Resurrection Day service is about the resurrection.
Like it's about Jesus, isn't it?
It should be. But anyways, check this out.
Those of y'all who are from the suburbs, those of y'all that come from a gated community, those of you who live out yonder, you ain't gonna understand this example. But when I used to live with my grandmother in the projects of New York, y'all ain't saying nothing. I discovered something that roaches only start running when you turn the lights on. As long as the lights are out, they gonna be comfortable eating your cereal. Y'all ain't saying nothing, climbing in your cupboard. But when you turn the light on, all of the roaches gotta start moving. I came to give a warning. Elon Musk, the light is getting ready to come on. Donald Trump, the light is getting ready to come on. J.D. Vance, the light is getting ready to come on. MAGA, the light is getting ready to come on. Welcome, because the roaches will check in, but they won't check out. The lights are coming on.
Okay.
That was blue hair, right?
I've seen this guy before.
You showed me that clip, and my question to you is, what is he talking about, man?
I don't know, but before
What?
I don't know what he's talking about, but I just realized where I've seen him. Justin, can you bring up Pinky?
It's Pinky.
That's where I see him.
There he is.
And even before that, there was a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Look, he's over there creeping.
Oh, man. So in all seriousness,
He said roaches only start running when the lights on. When you turn the lights on. As long as the lights are out, they are going to be comfortable. He began, I came to give a warning to Elon. The light is getting ready to come on.
that is Jamal Bryant.
Donald Trump, the light is getting ready to come on. JD, same thing. MAGA, same thing. I mean, what does that mean that you're going to turn on the lights and they're going to start running?
Which is weird because in actuality,
I don't get it.
What's the context?
well, in actuality, since January, there's a lot of politicians that went scattering. And it was not Trump.
It was
not
conservatives.
Vance. It was no.
It was Demis.
It was a whole lot of people. Matter of fact, we talked about it. The fact that in Washington D.C. in January, the most searched thing on Google was criminal lawyers,
Yeah, defense attorneys.
because everybody was running scared because of
Was it
all kinds of stuff.
Because
like
the
somebody?
lights.
Yeah, was it like somebody turned on the lights?
It's because somebody turned on the lights, and I think that's biblical, right? I think that's biblical.
And the roaches started running.
And they
Is that-
started running, yeah.
But Jamal Bryant, apparently about a month ago, he went and said he was going to boycott Target because of DEI, their failure of them failing to hire DEI hires. And then he was saying, because it's a mega church, I don't know how influential he is. I know that's a mega church. I don't know maybe if he was talking about his city. I have no idea, But now he came out with this. It was weird because honestly, I feel very odd preaching and ranting my own personal stuff, and much less on Resurrection Sunday. I saw many clips of this sermon, and he talked about, you got a problem, we can handle it in the parking lot. I mean, he's a tough guy. He was just ranting on the entire sermon. This part is the only time he mentioned politicians, but he was just, it was weird, man.
Do you remember in the mall or in high school, like down the hallway, when people would get loud, knowing security's going to show up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well,
no, I wasn't here, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just that framework of thought. How easy it is to say that from a pulpit in a microphone surrounded by you when you have security.
Yeah.
That's a very different conversation than, hey, let's go to the park.
I guess it's just typical. I guess this is the riffraff.
Yeah.
The nice way to say it, right? This is the riffraff, the junk that's coming over after the water starts to get clean. And then you just see some that were stuck way back there in some bushes. And then the current finally pulled it out of the bush. And now here it comes. And he's like, yo, what's that doing there? That's what this is right here.
That was the moment?
And this is his thing. It says right here, I got right here, Bryant also gave his congregation an update on the Target boycott, saying it had been successful, but the fight was not over. In February, he called for a 40-day fast from shopping at the retail giant during Lent to protest its scaling back and DEI initiatives. He taunted that Target had lost $12 billion since the boycott.
His boycott.
Since this boycott. And had pledged to give $2 billion to black businesses by July 31st. So, you know what? Let me side note this before I continue reading. However, he said the company had not met them on their other 3 demands, so the boycott would continue. So, according to what I just read, you said that you're going to give your black businesses $2 billion. So, because you are a man of God, make sure you hold true to that word. You know what I mean? Make sure these black businesses get $2 billion. And you know what? If you're hearing this in Atlanta and you know who this man is, make sure you hold him to his word that he gives you $2 billion to all kinds of different black businesses. That's my thing.
Is that where he's from?
Pinky.
Atlanta?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah. So another thing too is that I was watching the sermon, and in the end when he was picking up tithe, he had already picked up regular tithe. He already picked it up, and he goes, you know what? The Lord is telling me to pick up a tithe. And I don't know what it's for.
There it is.
He says,
It's pinky.
Maybe it's to feed all the children
Maybe.
in schools. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. So he had the audacity to pick that. The whole Resurrection Day sermon was everything but the resurrection.
Wow.
Now, he did try going out to the neighborhood, though. And somebody caught that on video. And he got checked. So I just sent you a YouTube clip. I hope it doesn't have language, but either way, it's pre-recorded, so I'll clean it up. Because Mama don't like that if I play something with.
I mean,
Sorry, Mom.
I don't think it does though, but he got checked.
it's just unfortunate, man. I wish I could be surprised.
There it is. Same dude. Listen.
This is Wanda, right? I'm the streets, man. What I want to know, man, cold-blooded, man. You, like I'm saying, man, you say you for the people. You got our people all up in your church. You know what I mean? You're supposed to lead these people, man. And I mean, I understand that y'all stuff, but you had no answers for like, yo, man, then you come down here like late, like top open on the ground like 100, like 300 something days. You down here now. Don't come.
What'd you do for Taco
We don't want
West?
you nowhere in our city, yo. Like you don't need, yo. We don't even want you on our streets. Like you disrespect our streets, man. this me, PFK Boom. I was on the front, you disrespected up here north, and you came down there, you ain't even fighting no war with us, yo. You ain't had nothing on your shirt, you ain't had no guns or nothing. And then you fucking with our oppressors. What you mean, how you fucking with Roland Blake and all them, man? You trying to kill us, man.
Where were you for
That's you
Tyrone
are, man.
West?
Well, we telling you you are. The streets feel like you killing us, man. All right. No, we don't want you in our fucking city now. Then get the fuck out the whole city. Is it that easy? That we can really get you the fuck out of here? No, sir. Well, check this out, man. Don't come nowhere down here no more. Wherever PFK Boom at, don't come. I know you can tell your henchmen. I know you, yo, Timmy and all them. I know you before I seen right about all that. Get the henchmen. Don't come down here no more. Boom said it. Me, as a man, the streets don't want you here. I'm speaking for them. So we see you here. Okay. So you said you won't come on my motherfucking streets no more, right? Don't bring your ass down here no fucking more. I mean it, yo. On my fucking kids, yo. Cause you're a fucking disgrace. A guardian angel for Satan. For who? Cause you damn sure ain't guard me, nigga. Get the fuck up out of here.
What you do for Tyrone West again?
Empower what? This dick, nigga.
This is the student master teacher, Mr.
Right.
I mean, is the dude wrong? Let me ask you guys that. Let me ask the two of you, if that was told to you, what are you doing?
What's that?
If that was told to you, right? I mean,
The guy coming off the street too?
Yeah, Are you going back to that neighborhood?
Well, that wouldn't happen to me, first of all. I'll explain why.
Yes,
Let me
please.
explain why.
That's the whole point of the question.
Okay, it's because, see, I am not trying to build this church on the backs of the people in the barrio. I'm not
very
trying
good.
to build this church like, yeah, I'm some crazy cholo gangbanger, ex-con, this and that, whatever. Because if I do that, and then I go to these streets, knowing I don't live there anymore, knowing I don't whatever anymore, those dudes have every right to check me.
Good.
That's why. So I'd never be in that dude's position.
Very good. And you?
Well, I'll tell you what popped in my head the first thing.
Because he says a lot of times, he's like, I'll get off this stage. I'll meet you in front. So I don't talk like that.
Right.
Because you know what? Somebody will.
Yeah, somebody will call you on it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I didn't think that route.
Yeah.
When you said that to me was just more of when I'll say from this angle, if you're building it off the back of somebody else, no, you wouldn't go back because your conscience is guilty. But if you've got something to say in that, you can't convince me that Paul didn't have these situations where people confronted him and got in his face.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
But-
he went back the next day, though.
That's what I'm saying. Because his conscience and what he was doing meant there was a message.
Yes.
So that's the difference. If he doesn't go back, he didn't have a message.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And yeah. So I have been cussed out when I was evangelizing. It's a whole thing on TikTok. Somebody came and said F Jesus to me.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
You know, but the thing is this, you're right.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that he caught me on video. I'm just kidding, Mom. Mom, I'm just kidding.
man.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. So if I truly had a heart for, say, we're going to reach this neighborhood this year. This is the vision of this church. And if we went and somebody, and our heart was pure,
Yeah.
and we're reaching people, somebody ain't going to like it.
Absolutely.
And if somebody comes up like that, but here's the thing, I am there because of honest reasons. I don't know what this guy does or in his community. I don't know. For all I know, he says, man, he's a mega church. So maybe he's telling the nation, man, I'm helping Atlanta, I'm doing this and that. But what if the people in that neighborhood don't feel like they're being helped?
And like that, then they confront him when he steps on the scene.
Yeah. Because if you are really out
Exactly.
there and you're giving away Christmas gifts and you're giving away turkeys and you're doing stuff for the community, you know what? The community's going to support you.
Absolutely.
They're not going to be hitting you up like that saying, get up out of here.
Right.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So that says a lot.
I mean, okay, so you both have said a lot. The thing about it is you're right, David. You don't use your past to preach God's word in
At the expense of others.
yes. You know what I mean? Because you give your story, you give your examples of what you've seen, of what a lot of us haven't seen. For example, like me and Angel. But then you're reaching people who have seen it.
Yeah.
But that's not what you go after. That's not your full thing. Let me talk about me so that way you can understand the word. No, that's not what you do. And then, like you said, of course people are going to hate because that's just what happens when it comes to the word of God.
Yeah.
People are just going to hate you because of it. It's proven every single day. I think on our last episode, we said about there was 13 Christians that are dying daily.
Yeah.
Right? So just because of preaching the word of God. So the thing about it is when something like that, that's exactly why I asked the question, because I wanted to see where you guys were going to go with it, because you're right. That wouldn't happen to you because you're not out there. You're out there to bring them in, to allow the angels to sing. Because according to the word, it says that the angels will celebrate praise for one, right? And that's what you guys are out there for. But you're not out there to convince them or condemn them or do anything like that. And like you said, turkeys, Christmas trees, presents, all that stuff, they're obviously going to back you, especially if you're doing it for nothing in return.
Dude, if you're in the neighborhood, because here's the thing about the dudes in the hood. They got grandmas there. They got mothers there. They got sisters there. They have nieces and nephews and kids that daddying around. And if you're truly a church in that neighborhood and helping their grandmas, you think they're going to come and disrespect you? They're not going to.
Yeah.
They're not, because they might say, you know what, man, I ain't all about this Jesus thing, whatever, but you know what, man,
I trust
you bless my grandma, man.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. You know what I
I've
mean?
literally with my own two eyes have seen that kind of stuff happen to a pastor that I know, where it was like, man, something happened and the neighborhood came together to find out who did what. And then those dudes who did it ended up getting checked.
Yeah.
And the pastor received everything that was stolen. And it was all because he helped out a grandmother.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Like literally, I'm not making that up. That's
real talk. That's real talk.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was in that neighborhood and he got ran up out of the neighborhood, that says a lot.
In his own city.
Yes, in his own
So
city.
it's not like he traveled to
a different neighborhood.
San Francisco, and San Francisco was like, y'all ain't doing nothing for us. No, it's your backyard.
Yeah.
It reminded me when I was out, we were talking right before we went on about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
So he was there, and this dude walks up on him. There's a clip. It's probably about a 4 or 5 minute clip. And he tells him, the Holy Spirit sent me over here to check you. And I want,
you were telling me
because
earlier.
you say you fight for all these other people. Well, the Holy Spirit sent me to fight for the less fortunate, for the illegals, for the homosexuals, So if you're going to fight, and if you're a man of God, then you're going to fight me. I'm willing to fight you, and we're going to throw blows. Right? And he starts calling Charlie Kirk an ungodly man.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he's on a college campus. I don't remember what college campus he was. But as the guy was talking to him, telling him, you only protect white people. When he said that, some dude in the crowd was going crazy. I couldn't see. And then Charlie Kirk goes, go ahead, let him. And it was this black dude who was part of the college. He was a college student in there. And he got out of the crowd and was defending Charlie Kirk.
Oh, wow.
In the moment. They didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, and then everyone starts kind of getting riled up. And it ended up right before that, Charlie Kirk, when he was talking to the college, he preached Christ to 20,000 students. So all this stuff is happening, right? So here's this guy saying all this stuff. And everyone around Charlie Kirk is defending Charlie Kirk in that moment. That's what I'm saying. It's like, we can go into different places, and will the gospel be rejected?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
But if you've got a message,
they wanted to kill Jesus.
exactly. If you've got a message and a mission,
Yeah.
you're going to go back. But if all you have is just trying to propagate your own gospel,
Yeah.
you have no conviction. You have no message. You're not going to risk your life for your own neck. That's why that meme that they do. Oh gosh, what's that funny? They did about the resurrection when all the apostles are there and they're like, "Hey man, I got this great idea," and they're all around a campfire after Jesus died.
The Taliban or something like.
Yeah, and that's, what's all the disciples? They're all there.
I saw them.
And he's like, man, I got this great idea. Listen, we're gonna steal his body. We're gonna take it and take it somewhere else. And then they're gonna persecute us and kill us, and we're all gonna die.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then one's like, what are you talking about? What was that last part? Because nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to make up a message to put their life on the line for something that doesn't exist to them.
Yeah.
And that's what always, in the gospel message, in the resurrection, that's always what confused people. So these people died that way? These thousands of people died that way for something they didn't believe, that didn't happen? That don't make sense. But preacher, you're getting checked on your own, where you're at. The question is, did you go back?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Did you go back?
Look at this. Acts chapter 14. Acts 14, 19, and 20 said in the NIV. Some Jews came from Antioch and Iconium and won the crowd over. And they stoned Paul and dragged him outside the city thinking he was dead. But after the disciples had gathered around him, he got up and went back into the city.
Yeah. That's a man.
Gangster.
That's a man on a mission.
That's a gangster right there, bro. Yeah.
That's a man on a mission.
Straight up. Yeah, he I mean, that happened more than once. It's funny because I'm looking right here on this article and it says Luke 6:37, I'm sorry. Do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. I don't know what Pinky was talking about.
Yeah.
But that's the scripture he used.
Yeah.
I don't know where he was going with that.
His whole sermon was all over the place. It was a rant. It was weird. I'm just like, dude, who hurt you? Like, he was just angry the whole sermon. And I'm just like, this was most likely the day that you had the most people in your sanctuary.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to preach Jesus. And instead, you went on a rant.
I don't know if you guys have heard the story of what's been hit. I think it hit the media on Monday.
Yeah.
About Shannon Sharp.
Oh yeah.
And all the him getting sued from somebody he had relationship with and
some OnlyFans.
Yeah, and she and it was an OnlyFan and so it's just gotten uglier, right, as the days have gone on. Shannon Sharp, he's a NFL Hall of Famer.
Oh, okay.
And so he had a parting of ways with Fox Sports, and then he went over. Now he was on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith, and so all these different things. Well, Stephen A. Smith I think it was Tuesday, or maybe it was yesterday, gave his own response of the situation after Shad had defended himself and put out all this texts and the conversations and all this stuff. And he was like, I don't know if I would have done that. I don't think that was a smart thing to do. But you can see on Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith's been around the TV and media. They're talking about a possible presidential run himself and all these different things, right?
Yeah.
And I like Stephen A. Smith. I like his takes. I've been watching him for 17 years back since
Sports.
That's because that's what it was.
Was he
ESPN.
ever this vocal about politics at all?
He always did sports. He has now a podcast that he does.
I know that now, but is this recent? Like it's the last 4 years?
No, he would talk about it on ESPN.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's always vocal.
He's always been somewhat vocal, but he was measured.
Okay.
In the vocalness on the ESPN channel. But anyways, it was interesting, his take on his friend Shannon Sharp, and it was this. Shannon, I hope you're innocent. I think you are. Your character and all of this. But here's the end. Why do you keep putting yourself in these positions? Why do you know what I'm saying? It's like, none of that had to happen.
Yeah.
You keep putting yourself in this position. And I'm just saying, with preachers and pastors and everything else, you can be right in some of the things that you're saying as far as how you're convinced.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a black pastor and he feels a certain way because of the community through his lens. But they keep putting themselves in the same position.
Yeah.
And it just don't make sense. What were you going to say?
Nothing.
No, he's just breathing into the mic.
Yeah. You said black pastor, and I started just heavy breathing.
Why?
You want to talk about it?
I'm just tired. I mean, you asked, so I'll say it, man. I'm just tired of people always talking about color.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of color coming from the pulpit.
Yeah.
I'm tired of, you talk this colorblind stuff. I'm tired of racism coming from the pulpit.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted, bro. Just because you got some darker pigment, or however you say that, doesn't mean you can talk about the ones with lighter pigment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's still racism. It goes
Absolutely.
both ways, dude. And I'm sick and tired of it. So when you say black, you know what I'm saying? And that's the first thing that came to my mind right now was like, I'm just sick and tired of it because there's a lot of agenda that wants to keep going on. And most of these pastors, quote unquote, what they call themselves, right? That's that degree paper stuff that I've stayed away from, right? And the thing about it is they think they're doing their community a good thing by that. And you know what? You're continuing racism going on just because it's not what you consider racism. That is true racism. And the thing about it is the congregation is being taught this. And it says, woe to those who will make my children go astray. And that's what you're doing. You are making it an agenda of your own. There's a song that we sing in church, and it says, Lord, please forgive me for making it my own agenda. You know what I mean? And it's very, very bad. And that's what they're doing. And I'm just sick and tired of it, man. And most of these pastors that do it from the pulpit are leftists. You know what I mean? They're left agenda.
So I think that
I only said that because you brought it up.
this is the same city where we brought up the pastor
That's what I was
2
gonna
weeks
yeah,
ago.
Exactly. Last week.
This is
Oh, yeah.
yeah 2 weeks ago, where people are lining up.
Oh,
You know, I
Atlanta.
can't remember his name. He's in that same city because people are
Philip.
sick and tired of Pink Panthers. They're sick and tired of. They're tired of it. And this dude is coming, and he's coming raw, and he's coming real, and he's exalting Jesus and Jesus alone. He's not making it about anything else than Christ. I believe that's why people are flocking, because here's the thing that I have heard when I've gone to the Bible Belt. Because I'm over here thinking, man, I'm coming from Cali, which it's just completely wicked. And so when I go to Texas, I'm just like, man, I'm going to be around everybody's Christian. Well, everybody is Christian. In the same way, here you meet Catholics that are Catholics, but they never go to the Catholic Church. So over there, everybody takes Jesus for granted. They're like, yeah, I was raised in the church. That's why a lot of the singers, they say, oh, yeah, I started in a choir. But that wasn't their heart. That's just a normal thing for them.
Yeah.
So in Atlanta, Georgia, all of that is the Bible Belt where people can go to the club on Saturday night and have no problem, taking communion on Sunday morning. And now this other pastor comes out, the one we were talking about 2 weeks ago, and people are flocking to it because they haven't had that kind of message in a long time.
Well, I watched it was a sit down, and it had
it's very good.
It had 4 black pastors and 1 white pastor, and they were commenting on that whole section of the video that you played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, the other 2 weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago. And they were encouraging him. They were just like, dude, nope, not everybody's standing against you.
Yeah.
Not everybody. And, they were, and there was, I think one of them was a woman leader, and she was just like, please preach this message more consistently.
What was his name again? Because I want to give him.
Philip.
Yeah. Philip something, huh?
I was going to say Philip Morris, but it's something else.
What was his name, Justin? You remember?
Philip Anthony Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yes, Philip Mitchell.
Yeah.
And, and I just, it was a different take, and they were just kind of going on, and they were just thanking him. And one of the things they mentioned was especially in that area, in that region of the country.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying what you're saying, because that is so counterculture.
Well, I just looked up 5 days ago. It says Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell apologizes for offending the black community.
There we go. There we go.
I haven't seen it.
I don't know what that means. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Or is it clickbait on the title?
Exactly. I don't know. You know what? Let's watch a minute of it. Let's see what.
Throw it
hold
up.
on.
Can you throw it up there?
Well, let me send it to him. It'd be
Let's watch it together.
Let's see here. I'm going to send it to the email, Justin. Let's watch a minute or two and see. Because you're right. The titles, click, everything is so you can click on it. So, because he could be saying, you know what? If you got offended,
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. Let's watch.
Anthony Mitchell, pastor of 2819 Church, has issued an apology following the backlash that he received from his sermon titled render what you owe. In the sermon, he made the following statements which went viral and sparked a lot of criticism of his message.
But man, not every killing of a black man was because of a bad cop. Some of that is because we have not taught our children to be, watch, obedient to authority.
In this installment, we'll review his apology and discuss whether or not this was truly helpful and necessary for him to do. Greetings, y'all. Welcome to Seek Things Above TV. I'm your host, Lucci Cooney. If you like content like this, please consider I sincerely apologize. I believe the passage I preached on presents us with an opportunity.
Okay, so he made a written apology?
Well, can you find it then?
In light of statements I made during our 8 a.m. gathering on
let's see.
Sunday, April 13, I wanted to take a moment to pause and acknowledge the impact of what was said. While not my intention, I recognize I caused harm, and for that, I sincerely apologize. I believe the passage I preached on presents us with an opportunity to examine our relationship with governments and authoritative figures who we may personally oppose, yet have to comply with. Without a doubt, I understand the framing I used about black children and their relationship with the police was and is harmful. I know that black people have been killed by the police when being both compliant and non-compliant. I sought to illustrate this tension from my own lived experience via a personal testimony. I acknowledge that my framing of that encounter was not helpful and should have been done differently and with more nuance. I would also like to note that the clips of my comments from that gathering have been misconstrued to both aid agendas I do not seek to align myself with and discredit my heart and my passion for seeing all people saved and walk uprightly before God. I have a responsibility to my local congregation, our digital disciples, and all the people watching me expecting to see an example of what true discipleship of Christ looks like. That includes acknowledging when you have made a misstep or been wrong. Due to the size of my platform, I'm learning that my words carry more weight and influence than I even sometimes can fathom or acknowledge. I will be more aware and cognizant of that moving forward. Again, I sincerely apologize for any hurt that I have caused. I have prayed for all those affected. So that was the statement from Philip Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah, I that.
So, you said he AI'd the apology?
Yeah, he chat GBT'd that thing. That's what it came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stand by your words, man.
Yeah.
Stand by it, dude. Take it. What you said was great. Pulling it back makes it look a little childish, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's just being nice about it, because there's other words I would like to use, but
I mean that's unfortunate.
It really is.
If you're gonna, especially, there's, that's just unfortunate, because if you're gonna preach most of the time, and you just you've been years of teaching, preaching, all of us now. How many times have we said something out of our spirit that just kind of came out? Right? You weren't thinking about it. It just kind of came out. And it was like, man, that really was the Holy Spirit. And then all of a sudden later you second guess it.
Yeah.
Like what he's doing. And it's just like, just listen, just let it be, man.
Yeah.
Let it be.
Yeah, because no matter what, I think that there's always going to be those people. I think the people that were most angry are probably the ones that had nothing to say, had no right to say anything. Yes, of course, I am sure that many people have been killed by officers without fighting back. Like, it was just bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Every race.
Yes.
Yeah, every race.
Yes.
I think that's a reality. That's probably true. But the percent of people that have died because of the things they did and then they end up getting killed by the cops are going to far outweigh those things. And to say, well, you know what, I'm going to apologize and make an apology to these 99 because of this one incident.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, man.
I mean,
it ain't an easy thing to preach, and I'm telling you right now. But
many times I've been, there was no need for that. And I said, I thought there was. And I didn't even, it's not in my notes, so I didn't even plan on saying it.
What's that?
Like just anything that like Angel said, like something that I said in a teaching, in a whatever, and it's just like my wife is always the first one to let me know. And so she was just like, there was no need for that. And I said, I thought there was, because it made it more of the point. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know how people like to say I use the F word so that way people can understand how passionate I am? Well, that's the same thing when I say something like that. What the guy said wasn't wrong. Should have just stood by it, man. Just take the right. You know what I hope? You know, right now when you were saying what you were saying is I hope that it wasn't part of his congregation who are the big tithers. That came to him and says, yo, man, we don't need any of that and blah, 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 blah. The big checks. And you know, at a church that size, they know who the big checks are. So that's what I hope. I'm not saying that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, my thing is this, is that you already know, man, his place is packed out. There's a whole bunch of lines. So I'm just like, hey, man, you got to, sometimes you got to prune. Sometimes you got to prune. You know, it reminds me of the thing where Jesus said, when people walked away from him, he didn't apologize.
No, he doubled down.
Matter of fact, he doubled down, looks at Peter, says, you're going to leave too? You going to leave too? And Peter goes, where am I going to go?
He did.
Peter's like, why are you picking on me?
Yeah.
You know, he was, and Jesus was like, I'm not going to apologize. You know, and matter of fact, there's one part where he basically tells a woman, he was, what am I going to do, feed dogs? You know, because she was a Phoenician woman and wasn't Jewish. He didn't apologize.
That would have been all over Twitter.
Oh, he would have got canceled.
Oh, absolutely.
Jesus and Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus and Paul would have got canceled.
But we've got a whole lot of evidence on Jesus, though.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the sad part. You know, it just, you know, and I guess, you know, getting into our second subject, to me, it just kind of connects, which is we were wanting to talk about technology and faith today.
Oh.
You know, and, you know, social media, that the platform, you know, and especially because here, I don't know what it's like. Even stepping into here, David, at House of Rest, like I told you when I first came, I looked at it and I looked around and said, okay, 200 members. Okay, I've been here. Mm-hmm. But then stepping into the network of everything else that's happening, that's when I realized, whoa, this is something different. This is different. And so it was a very different experience just looking at everything. And it is a little kind of like, okay, I got to be a little bit more careful when I'm saying something. You know, I understand that. Yeah. But what I mean by that is I'm not worried about what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I might, but I am aware of the fact that I might have to clarify what I said.
Yeah. So that's the one part where I do understand in his thing is that when he says, I don't realize sometimes how influence I have, so I got to watch what I say. Because there's something you said that is very true about me. Because Angel said one time to me, he goes, I can tell when you preach that you're not just talking, you've thought of it. You've thought about what it is that you're saying, and that is true.
You're very thoughtful in your thinking, in your preaching.
I don't just shotgun, and if I do say something, it's because I meant it.
Yes, I've caught that as well.
Yeah, a little more strategy.
So because of that, and I can't imagine, because even more so with the Pando and Idovo, because I'm just like, okay, this is reaching more than 200 and the 500 on YouTube. This is reaching 10 to 20,000. Yeah. You know what I mean? So because of that, it makes me, if I do say something offensive, I don't mind if the offense hits, but I don't want it to hit in a way where I didn't mean.
Exactly.
So I'm going to clarify what it is that I'm saying. And if it still offends you, then so be it.
Like I wouldn't have minded if in his letter there was clarification. Let me give some backdrop or details to why I said what I said, and I stand my ground because of these particular reasons. Yeah. But it didn't sound like that's what he was saying. It sounded more like a back up. Yeah. And
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Because I've preached in front of congregations much larger than what we have here. Yeah. But here's the thing. There was no replaying of what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
That's a different environment. Mm-hmm. And so, but unfortunately, with technology, we live in a time and a place that now, if you're preaching and the Holy Spirit spoke out of your spirit, and then you second guess what the Holy Spirit first said out of you. Yeah. See, now we're going to start seeing some stuff.
Yep.
And I could see that being a tripping effect in a lot of ministries, because where people were pressing into going, hold on, brother. We might have a voice in this area. All of a sudden, people just pushed their foot off the gas and just went, man, brother, that wasn't what needed to be done. I'm not saying you have to double down, but just clarify. That's all that was needed.
Yeah, I agree.
If you feel something and you feel that you need to say it and it's stirring in your spirit and you don't say it, is that disobedience?
If you feel you got to say something. There's times in the past where I felt the Holy Spirit told me to say something and I didn't. And I felt horrible after. I felt like I failed God.
Like you disobeyed him.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good.
It's like
I don't beat myself up about it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, Lord, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Is it like your dad telling you, like, I'm not mad at you, I'm disappointed?
Yeah.
But like times 50?
Yeah.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah. And there's also been times where I have felt something, and then I had to consider, was it me feeling?
Yeah.
Or was it truth?
Yeah. Sometimes the Lord will tell us something, and that was for us, not necessarily to shout out, but sometimes I believe that the Holy Spirit will tell you something about the situation going on in the congregation, and maybe it wasn't the time or place to vomit it out yet. You know, and that's where it comes into discernment, because God's like, hey, I told you, because you're the pastor. I didn't tell you to tell everybody.
Well, I'll just share a quick story.
That's very, very good.
Years ago, I brought somebody in my office, and I corrected them.
Yeah.
And it was a very clear vision and dream that I'd had about a situation, and it was very detailed. And there was no doubt of what I'd seen and what I knew.
Yeah.
And I confronted them. And you know how Paul says, don't crush the spirit of your son?
Yeah.
You know, there's a correction and then there's a crushing. And in that moment, when I confronted them, they were both looking at me in my office crying. They were like, Pastor, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, are you saying I'm a liar? You're telling me what the Holy Spirit told me is a lie? And and I crushed the situation.
Wow.
And I remember maybe...
And it wasn't true?
They hold on.
Okay.
They held their ground and telling me it didn't happen. That did not happen. What I'm telling them, it was because it was what the Holy Spirit showed me, not a person. Okay? And so I was doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. And maybe months goes by, dude. And I'm sitting on the platform and we're in a worship service. It's just one of those moments, right? And I'm standing on the platform looking down. It was one of those churches where we sit up on the platform. And I looked down and I just happened to look and I seen the young lady and she was just weeping and worshiping just the Lord. Then maybe 9 months, a year later. And I looked over and I seen the young man and he was doing the same. That's all I seen. And then all of a sudden I turned around and the Holy Spirit said, remember that situation? And I said, yes. He said, I didn't tell you. I didn't need you. I showed you that to pray. You decided to be me in that situation and make the correction. I didn't need you for that.
Yeah.
And I remember it hit. I felt like I got kicked in the gut because what the Holy Spirit was trying to show me as a shepherd was to shepherd, know my place. Or as someone said a couple weeks ago, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
And I didn't stay in my lane. I took it upon myself to make the correction, and that wasn't what God was having me do.
Very good.
Because, and here's the reality. We had a conversation several years ago. You know what they did tell me?
What?
That happened about 8-9 months later. It was something that hadn't happened yet.
Wow.
I was to pray for something that hadn't happened yet, but when it happened, they remembered what I described to them.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, wow, okay, Lord, you are much better at this than I am.
Where are you going with the technology and faith?
Well, what do we think about it? But it's something that is here. It's not going away.
Like this.
Well, in any capacity. I'm not saying negative. Just with technology and faith and what do we see? What are the pitfalls? What are the things that we should be concerned about? Digital worship. We're talking. What is the word he used?
Digital disciples.
Digital disciples. More and more, we're hearing of people. Like I said, I think I said this on this show, or maybe you and I talking. The first time I heard about this was Mark Driscoll in the late 90s, early 2000s. He would call them the pajama hadid. And he said, and that's what he called them. He said they were college students staying in their pajamas because they were too lazy to go to church, and they'd watch on YouTube.
Oh.
But that started at that time because he started uploading his sermons on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube was out in the 90s?
Early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, but it was so big during that time, and it just grew. But now this is a very different element, and this is conversations we've been having that just kind of, a little bit of kind of banging our head against the wall. Go, dude, how do we handle this? Because there is a digital congregation out there.
Oh, it's Brother Joseph.
Oh, okay. Justin open the door?
Yeah, Justin, can you go let him
in? Tell him welcome.
So I've said before.
Just call him back because he's walking away. Hurry up.
I've said before that look at what Paul did walking. Right? Look at everywhere he went. Look at everybody he was able to tell the word to. Even from a jail cell, how his word came from a jail cell and traveled so many miles. I don't know them all exact and how all that is, but you see where I'm going with that. So when it comes to this and you actual teaching, I think that's phenomenal because it's like you said, you have 200 in here, 500 online, but then you have something separate. You have the unbarred, which you are reaching 10 to 20,000
each episode.
That's phenomenal stuff. How can we, the three of us, ever look at that as a bad thing, right? Mm-hmm. Now let's flip that coin, and it's like, let's go back to these pastors who drive me nuts. You are doing it for your own. The
Pink Panthers?
Yep. The Elevation Church, the
Mark Furtick?
Steve Furtick, the Mike Todds, the Craig Rochelle's, the Michael Bertot's, all these people, you're doing it for your views. And that's what it is. And because you can just tell from a watered down to a real. And again, this is just Tino speaking. You know what I mean? I'm the one that got the mouth on here, so it's just like I say it. And the thing about it is like that's where I think it falls short. I don't agree with AI teaching. I don't agree with, like, you've had some people who heard you online.
Yeah.
And they've made their way here.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? That's because that's a person who wants more of Jesus because he feels Jesus. The spirit of Jesus is awakening. It's an Ananias to Paul when Paul was blind. When Ananias was like, I don't want to talk to that dude. He's trying to kill your people. But yet he called them to him. You know what I mean? After Ananias got done negotiating with Jesus, then he went over. That's what that is. These people are flocking in because they want more of something that they're not getting from these big old huge churches. You know what I mean? And that's where I think it falls short, is that people get it for their paycheck now. Like, oh, this is my job. I work off YouTube, or this one. So I just think it's very, very bad in that realm.
Yeah. I think that unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, internet is here to stay. In studying, just reading history and stuff, when preachers started getting on the radio, other pastors hated on the pastors getting on the radio because they were saying they're not coming to our church because they rather stay home and listen to you. And then TV and internet, and we can't stop it. So I still believe that you should be in your local place of worship. Nothing's going to replace that, but at the same time, I think it would not be smart for us to say, you know what? We're not going to go online. We're not going to stream. We're not going to do it. Because look at all those people that have came. They would have never known. But I think it comes with the responsibility and accountability, because you can make this about you. Just like people say, like people do Instagram or whatever so they can get the likes. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
That we not become about the likes or about the views. I know that there are bigger ministries on Pando, for instance. But then I've watched them. They're great channels, but they keep things very light. They show a lot of they just keep things light. And I'm not I'm not here to bash them. Man. Everybody has their own format, what they're gonna do. And I get it. If you're paying that much money to get on Pando, then you want the most views. I get it. And probably what we do is counter that, because we're just giving we're putting sermons up there, we're putting Bible studies up there. We're not entertaining. And I can't irresponsibly put things on there just for the views without having it be actual content of something that's going to help them grow. I can't do it in my conscience, to say, I want the biggest prison channel, so I'm going to throw in the stuff that they're going to watch. It's going to make them watch. It's going to make the whether they're Christian or not. Like Joel Osteen, he's proud that there's people in his congregation, members of his congregation, that are Hindu and they're Muslims. And dude, that's something, you're proud of that? It's one thing if you get them in.
Yeah, if they come in that way.
Yeah, that's fine.
They used to be Hindu. They used to be Muslim.
I love the saying that says, Jesus said, come as you are, not stay as you are.
Yeah. So.
But, I think, like, here's the thing with social media. Like, you guys hit it. One, it's not going away.
No.
It's a progression. It's going to continue. But like the gifts of the Spirit in the Church of Corinth, every rose has thorns.
Yeah.
And so, you
think of the song?
Yeah. Hold on, man. Oh, go ahead, dude. I'm not gonna do it. Go ahead. Sorry, Angel. I apologize.
And I forgot what I was saying.
See, man, I'm sorry.
Every rose has a thorn.
Yeah, every rose has a thorn.
And so, like people talk about like the gifts of the Spirit, and they talk about, man, I want to be in a church that the gifts are in operation. Well, the church that had the most gifts in operation was the most immature.
Yeah.
Why was that? Because they needed the most help. And the Spirit was trying to help them the most by having the gifts, because they didn't have the maturity level to operate from a place of maturity.
Yeah.
So the Holy Spirit constantly was trying to help, because that's what he does. And so you have this dual-sidedness to all of these things, even the Spirit of God. Because when you see people that are gifted and using the gifts, that doesn't mean they're mature. It means they're gifted.
Yeah.
And those are two very different things. Well, you have social media and the internet, and it's two different things. Both are combined together. You have a rose and thorns. And so what we're going to do with it is going to be the ultimate question. Mm-hmm. And the integrity of the hearts of those that are walking through with that, is going to be very important where we see this go. Yeah. And unfortunately, like I don't know the brother that we were talking about. Is it Paul Mitchell or
which one?
Philip Anthony Mitchell.
Philip Anthony Mitchell. Because here's the thing. Maybe he felt the pressure because he's never felt that kind of pressure before.
Yeah.
And he backed up. Maybe that's not going to happen again. Let's give him some credit. Let's give ministers some credit here. Because we all have made mistakes.
Yeah.
And then had to have the Holy Spirit work through us, spouses, loved ones, family, and maturity in time. Because it's the same thing. Right now, maybe his shoulders and his legs aren't strong enough to hold that weight yet. And he felt that for the first time. Mm-hmm. So let's give him some time to walk in that and continue to do some leg presses that maybe over time he can hold that weight. And maybe that'll be different in time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still glad of what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think he's being a voice in a place where there is no voice. So yeah, I mean,
but that does happen to ministers.
Yeah.
Where we find ourselves in a whoa, and maybe he did, and that's fine, but own it. That's the only thing. When it's all said and done, in 6 months and 1 year, own it.
Yeah,
own it. We talked about marriage. Own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blame it on the rain.
You know, you said something right now about, man, I can't think of it. I should have wrote it down, man. Because you threw me off with the rose.
Tell me why.
No, man. Well, I think it's funny, dude, because we were just talking before we got on air about the one song, right? And if somebody says something, that thing just pops. All I heard was every rose has its thorn, or there's a thorn. How's that go?
Who sang that?
I want to say that was.
It wasn't Guns N' Roses, was it?
No, I want to say it was Def Leppard.
Oh, no.
No, it wasn't Def
No,
Leppard.
Aerosmith?
No, it was
Metallica?
one of those. No.
Megadeth?
Maybe it was Megadeth. But you were saying something
Bon
because
Jovi.
I was looking. Oh, okay.
Was that Bon Jovi?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
Oh, you just did Beyonce right now.
Did I? Okay, so what you said was it's not going away.
Yeah.
And it is this internet thing, right? So the thing about it is internet is the problem with internet is just like the problem of everything else. It's people.
Yeah.
Right. So we see something and we pervert it. That's what human race does.
Poison.
Yes. So I got this thing about
bugging me.
I got this thing about drugs, like weed, right? It's an actual plant that serves a purpose in a medical field, right? Cocaine, it's an actual plant.
Opium.
That's and in the medical world, we call that codeine.
Yeah.
Right? And in the streets, we call it cocaine. Like you said, opium, right? And they call that, in the medical world, they call that morphine. And in the streets, we call that heroin. Yeah. See what I'm saying? We get something and then we pervert it. This is just another drug right here, what we are on.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
you
good.
know what I'm saying? And so the thing about it is we get it. We see an opportunity. It's given to us as a blessing. And then the human race gets it and then we just pervert it.
Yeah.
And you know, we'd be foolish not to use this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In today's life, we would be foolish. And the thing about it is like, this is what we need to understand. Yes, everybody else is going to pervert it. Are you going to do the same thing? Like you said, Joel Osteen, right? He's happy about Hindus and Muslims and Jehovah's Witnesses and all these other people being inside his church. I've heard him say that. And like I said, I love the saying that says, come as you are, but don't stay as you are. And the thing about it is he reaching thousands? Yes. Is it all for gimmick? Yes. Is he saving souls? That's not on me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing. And so that's my thing, and then I got nothing else to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Did you guys get a chance to watch PBD this morning?
No.
In the interview? Okay. He said something that on this topic of social media.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the girl's name, but they were talking about the young man that killed the CEO of the insurance company.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Mangetti or whatever his name is.
And so there's a young lady on social media. She's gotten really, really big. And she was she was saying, she was being interviewed. And she was like, it's just, he's a handsome, good looking young man. Talking about the guy that killed the CEO. And he's intelligent.
What's that got to do with anything?
He's intelligent. He's strong. Just talking about how people have gravitated to him.
Yeah.
And, he's getting all these letters in the mail and all this stuff. And she's just going on and on and on. And then she was like, I was one of the first ones that kind of started, kind of supporting him a little bit.
Yeah.
And bringing up some of these points. And she was like, and then it blew up. My channel, it just blew up and I got all these hits. And I was surprised by that. I didn't know. And all these people started watching me. And then PBD stopped the video and he said, right there, that's what you have to be careful of. He said, and that's what I learned in this industry. It's not just the clicks and the views, but it's who are those clicks and who are those views. He said, because you can get swayed.
Yeah.
You might like the clicks and the views until you're in the room alone with the people who are those clicks and those views. And then you realize, I don't think like you.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden,
that's true.
And he goes, and all of a sudden you paved a path to your fame based on those clicks and those views. And I think that's the part on social media that we have to be careful of.
Yeah.
But it is no different than Satan's lurement to Jesus and said, I'm going to show you all the kingdoms of the earth.
Yeah.
Same thing. And as ministries, the only difference, like I said, is the fact that it's so much easier to pause and replay, over and over again.
Yeah.
And the negative side too with social media, like what he was saying was, I think this is truth because I don't know how they use it all, but how did they use those clips and all the different ways that social media uses clips to fit their agenda?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they could take anything we say here or behind a pulpit.
Yeah.
And you can manipulate that to say a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. And then you put some evil music behind it.
Oh,
it makes
absolutely.
you sound sinister.
Yeah. And it's great. And it's all photoshopped.
But that's where the old school in us comes in. It's this old school thing called character and integrity. Like, man, I don't care that you try to say something. You caught that all out of context. You did that for your agenda. You want to hear what I really said? Come check me out. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't bother me at some point. It has to just water to a duck's back.
Well, I don't, let me just ask just out of this before we move on to the next subject. I don't know what it's like to get hit by that many.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I can't say it wouldn't bother me. I don't know what it's like to get hit by 20 million clicks in 5 different channels talking about you, dogging you out, having them tell.
You're right about that.
Say stuff to your kids, having them say stuff to your wife, having them. I don't know what that's like. I remember Mark Driscoll said, you're not a true preacher until you're picketed.
Yeah.
And that was when he was in Seattle.
Who's this?
Mark Driscoll.
I remember Eminem says that's how he knew he made it is when they started picketing his album. They started buying his album so they can run it over with a steamroller. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's just it is a crazy thing.
Yeah.
That pressure. Just that pressure. I've never experienced that. I have no idea. My limited pressure, I will say in stuff that that happened in my past in my marriage, I felt that going back to Stockton.
What do you mean?
Like after me and Deanna, our marriage and everything else, we reconciled and all this stuff, that there was people in the city, in the congregation that somewhat heard and knew what had happened in the past. And that was just on that was a church of 800 members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that weighed on us for a long time, that we avoided Stockton, just because we didn't want to run into people and have to explain and then explain and then explain and explain. And so, it is a weight.
Yeah.
It is a weight. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying it is a weight.
Yeah.
And that's what technology has brought.
The good, the bad, however.
The documented.
Yeah, everything's...
Exactly.
People are always going to take things out of context. People are going to purposely want to take things out of context, twist the words, even now, even before internet, I can tell you one thing, and by the time it goes to the 10th person, it sounds way different. And if one of those people are against me, they will make it really bad. Mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing that affects churches that I have personally seen as a pastor is miscommunication, or not miscommunication, is listening to third party instead of just asking the person that said it.
Yeah.
Because same thing with text, man. Well, I don't like when people read a text and add a tone to it. I can't stand that.
What do you mean?
Okay, for instance, let's see. Okay. I'm going to look at a text just right now. Joseph, because that's why he pulled up. He goes, will you guys be able to print some flyers for tomorrow? Because he's doing Spanish. But depends how I read it. Maybe it'll change it.
Did he put an exclamation mark at the end?
No, but there's people that read it like it did. Hey, you're going to be able to print some flyers for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Dude, what are you trying to tell me what to do? You know what I mean? Be like, man, can you believe that he's trying to punk me to print some flyers for tomorrow? So it's like, I don't like that, man. And then he goes, I think so. We're here. He goes, okay, I'll try to make it by then. I'll try to make it by before you guys leave. I'm headed home. But somebody that doesn't like Joseph can read it with an attitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at Joseph, man. Can you believe he says, man, I'll try to make it. But if you leave, man, I'm just heading home.
Yeah.
So,
man, Joseph, what's wrong with you, brother?
So I'm just like, you know what?
We'll pray for you.
I always tell Sharon, texts are meant for ETAs or somebody's phone number or an address.
Not a
or
conversation?
Yes or a no or yes, you're right, confirmed. You know what I mean?
I hate long texts.
Do not do paragraphs because it will be taken wrong.
Yeah.
Especially if there's an issue.
Yeah.
Hey, Pastor, I want to talk to you. And then you start to text it to me. I'm not going to do that.
I do that at work with clients. I won't send a long text.
No.
If I got to send you a long text or an email, I'm going to send you an audio. Seriously, I do that all the time because voice fluctuation in business is a big deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's the thing is they could repeat. You know, Tina, you could say something 10 times, and all of them say exactly what you said, but in what tone?
Yeah.
And they could repeat you word for word, but in what tone?
Hey, can you tell him to throw the trash?
Can you believe?
Hey, man, he just said throw the trash.
Yeah. I was going to say something too, David, on social media on repeat. You know, as far as the things that get repeated and everything else, because I know you always say how you don't like repeating messages.
What do you mean?
Like
2 sermons.
Yeah.
Oh, sermons. Yeah,
sermons.
yeah.
And I just wanted to ask this question. Mm-hmm. When did Jesus preach what he preached one time in one place and never touch it again?
Probably not.
I would say no.
Because he had to tell other people.
Yeah.
He repeated a lot.
Yeah, and I think, you know, internet does that. You know, at the same time, I think it is important for us that we do that too.
Mm-hmm. Do what?
Like repeat. You know, because you and I have talked about this as far as through the years. Leadership. Rick Warren said, by the time you get so sick and tired of saying what you're saying, your congregation's barely getting it. And so I'm trying to encourage you up for 2 services.
No. I'd rather just offend people.
So you're not going to wear a pink suit?
Skimming the herd.
That's it. Right here, Google it says, finding a balance, discernment and critical thinking. Individuals should approach technology with discernment and critical thinking, recognizing its potential benefits while also being aware of its limitations and potential risks. Balancing online and offline engagement. Faith communities should strive to maintain a balance between online and offline engagement, ensuring that technology is used to complement rather than replace traditional faith practices. That's Google.
Yeah.
I think those are really good. Those are under finding a balance. So,
What else we got?
Well, you want to talk about military recruitment? And just before we say anything, I'm going to climb up on that where that camera
That
is,
leaf?
and I'm going to cut that leaf off.
I know, it keeps bugging me. It keeps drawing my attention up.
Mine too. So if you're on camera and you see me keep on doing this, because I'm looking at a leaf.
Yeah,
in the wind.
it keeps blowing right in front of the camera, so it looks like there's movement going on.
Abraham, what are you doing? How come you haven't cut it yet, Abraham?
So this thing that you're bringing up is because I had Googled it, but sure enough, it was true. I doubt I even saved it. Let's see, screenshot.
ChatGPT it.
No, I didn't save it. So basically, I don't know about the other branches, but the Army has had a spike the moment Trump came in, and I thought that was interesting. You know, I don't know the reasons why. I don't know. I didn't really go dive deep into it, but I did see that what they expect, usually they expect X amount of people to be recruited in a year. They're at 81% right now, and we're barely in April.
Of what they expected for the year.
For the year, and
That's
we're
awesome.
at 81%.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting. You know, I don't have a whole lot to bring up about it, but I just thought that was something interesting that I wanted to throw out there and let you guys know that people are joining. And I'm going to give my opinion, though, of what I think is happening. That's
what I was going to ask you. Why do you think that is?
Well, here's what I think is obviously there's not a lot of opportunity out here for young people. Not everybody can afford or wants to go to university. And you can have a great career starter if you go to the service. The problem is, the gamble is if you go and there happens to be a war while you're there. Mm-hmm. But if you go, do your 3 years, you know, and you can come out and you can be pretty much anything you want. You could be Secret Service, you could be a sheriff, you could be police department, you could be a U.S. Marshal, you could be a correctional officer. Whatever it is going to open doors. And even if you don't want to be in that realm, but the fact that you have that on your background, military background, a lot of doors open. And but what better time to join the service than a time when you have a president that does not want to go to war, that is not trying to go to war. So, we never know the future, but the chances of war are very low when the president is against war. So you're pretty much going to go in, you're going to do your 3 years, and you're going to come out, or you can even choose to stay in there and become and have it become a career.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's my thoughts, is that because we have a peacetime president, and people are joining for that reason. That's what I think.
What do you think, Tino?
I got right here. It says the president of the United States will pursue a Golden Dome similar to Israel's own Iron Dome defense. My focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. Trump said, as a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect. This article was written in the beginning of March. I know quite a bit of some people who left the service within the last, with the last administration.
Yeah.
Because, for one, they didn't know what they were doing there. For two, they couldn't fight for their president who didn't care about them.
Recruiting was at an all-time low.
Yeah.
During that.
For three, it was like, it was a mockery. It became a mockery. And they signed up, obviously, to be part of the strongest country in the world. And they left because of it. And so what I see today as far as recruiting, I think that's phenomenal. And I think it's exactly, just to piggyback off exactly what you said, why wouldn't you go in at a time where there's probably going to be no war that you're going to be involved in?
Yeah.
And
at least at the lowest possibility in a while.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying there's going to be no war. I'm saying it's a very, very good possibility.
And you're being trained. You learn trades.
And I mean, dude, when you come out, you pretty
so many
much,
benefits.
You write your own ticket.
Yeah.
I know, like my son, I have a senior. He's graduating next month.
Yeah.
And he's getting into welding. And I told him, I said, bro, Navy's your ticket right there, man. I said, look at the things you get to go weld. Look at what you get to do.
Yeah.
I said, you go in there, you get your schooling done, you get your training done, you get your years done. If you like it, re-enlist. If you don't, then you come out. You have the Navy on your resume. I said, bro, you're going to write your own ticket.
You can learn a trade free.
Yeah. All the government done.
Yeah.
And so the thing about it is he was...
And get paid.
And he said why he didn't, so I left it alone. It's his choice. I'm not going to make him do nothing. But no, I think it's very, very good. And I think it's phenomenal because there is a lot of people, believe it or not, from the age of 18 to 33 who are wanting to be a warrior or a soldier at least.
Yeah.
For
a winning country.
And let me say this: not everybody wants to be frontline. That's why people join the Marines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of those too.
Yeah.
A lot of gunnies, and so they want to do that. And more powerful for the secretary. You know what I mean? For the receptionist in there, man. Thank you very much. That's all I gotta say.
I think with Trump, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him, in his positions or not, I think we have seen a revitalization of masculinity.
Yes.
Because it's not about whether you like his policies, but you do see a man that is willing to stand his ground. Mm-hmm. And at least you can respect him for that. The fight.
Yeah.
Moments and stuff like that. And, I think that has sparked something in our country. Because like you said, I agree. I think we're the greatest country in the world, but it didn't feel that way just a year ago. And so, but now you have this revitalization of pride. Mm-hmm. And and I'm, it's not country and then God, but nothing like that. But at the same time, I can see that, and you hear that more and more and more. Young men standing up. Young men are being fed up with, and
I know a young lady that just signed up.
Yeah. But I think there's so many young men out there right now that have felt so ostracized for so long.
Yeah.
that I think whether it's military or not, we're just starting to see a removement of that, take place. And I think with that comes pride, comes strength, comes defense, comes, all those things. And, I think they would, as a young man, if you're going to defend something, I'm going to defend the borders of my country more so than I'm going to defend something that I don't even know why.
Yeah.
At least I know why. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to me that just makes more sense. But you're right, as far as for young men, and the other thing too is just the disheartenment that college and the universities have brought us for over the past, that we have been seeing it as a trend over the last 10, 15 years. And whether you like the tariffs or not, and whether you agree, and all everyone's nervous and all this stuff, and it's still kind of in that moment where what's going to happen, and everything, but here's the thing with the tariffs.
Yeah.
Once that hit, we started getting industry back in the United States.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I thought of was, okay, we're going to be an industrial nation again. And for that to happen and that to be successful, you must have men.
Yeah.
You must have men to go into these industries and be willing to work hard as welders, as builders, as carpenters, on the intellectual level as well. But you have to have that. And I think we're just starting to see that revitalization. Yeah. And I hope, I voted for this. I do believe in this. I think we will come out of this. There's a chance. Yeah. Is there a chance that we don't? Sure. But I think we're fine. I think we'll be just fine over time. But I think it's just kind of that bubbling thing of that's happening, that masculinity, that pride. And at the same time to be, there was a statement somebody posted on, and I'd heard it before. It says strong men. Yeah. What was it? Strong men. Oh gosh. A weak men. That whole thing. I don't remember exactly now. I had it in my mind and then I forgot.
Yeah.
But no, that's what I see. That's what Tina's looking for, because it's such a good quote. But I just see masculinity on the rise, and I not and what most people call toxic.
Yeah.
I think it's just wrong. It's just masculinity.
Yeah.
Now there is toxic, but most of it's just masculinity, and I'm glad to see it coming back.
There's toxic femininity. Female, however you say it. Yeah, you got that too. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
Again, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we got 13 minutes left. Yeah. And
we want to talk about health in America.
This is what brought it up. Is I have seen many fast food documentaries, against fast food, against bad food or fried food or whatever. I saw, what's that old one, the McDonald's one, Super Size Me? Mm-hmm. I've seen all those, and it's like, oh man, that's gross. And then I'd go get a quarter pounder.
Like everybody wants to eat the hot dog, nobody wants to see how it's made.
Yeah, but I gotta say, man, I saw this recent one about McDonald's, and it wasn't even about getting overweight or none of that. It was about ingredients.
Oof.
And this is what blew me away. Is it says the regular patty is 45% meat. The rest is chemicals, fluff filler, all kinds of, just stuff. And that's nasty. That is nasty.
Did you hear that, Justin?
Same thing with a lot of the chicken. They were talking about the McDonald's chicken.
But not the nuggets. That's real chicken.
Well, remember that they did this thing where it showed it was paste?
Yeah.
Well, McDonald's redid it. Because after that, people quit, but still.
I didn't, but still.
Yeah, me either. But it just messed me up, man. It just made me think about what are we putting in our bodies. Like, we're so unhealthy. I look at myself. I look at America. If I sit there at Walmart, if I sit there, everybody's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh. and I'm part of the problem too. Like it bothered me. Really, like it bothered me, you know what I mean? And then I forgot what I was watching because somebody showed Russia. And they were showing these people, I don't know if it was a wedding or whatever, and they're like, look closely, what do you notice? So I'm looking, I'm like, what? Is somebody looking funny? Somebody, and it hit me. Everybody was healthy.
At least they weren't, you mean like weight-wise?
Yeah. There wasn't obese people. You go to a wedding now, you'll find maybe 10 out of the 100 that, you know, they
fit in their clothes?
Yeah, you know? And I'm just like, oh my God, this is why RFK is doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And this whole McDonald's thing, and I'm just like, I told Sharon, I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat that. You know, and it just, you know, and I don't know, I just wanted to bring it up. You know, in the last segment of this is...
I went to convention for business, right?
Yeah.
In January, and it's a bunch of Armenians.
Yeah.
Right. And these people eat.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. These people.
Remember I told you?
Yeah. And I mean, you called it, bro. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but my whole point in this, dude, the food is phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, the food is phenomenal, good stuff. If you've never had Armenian food, go try some Armenian food.
That one place, right?
Oh yeah.
This whole table will be filled with platters.
Yeah, and I mean it was crazy, but
and it'll be 4 people.
We were at a convention, and it was a celebration, and there was a lot of food. And my whole point of even bringing this up, it was like mushrooms, eggplant, broccoli,
grape leaves.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was salmon, it was fish, and then you had some meat. Then it was like you had some good cut meat. You know what I mean? It wasn't just beef.
It wasn't processed.
No. And you can tell. Like you can just what it is, bro. Yeah. And it was like all yes, they eat a lot. You know what gets it? It's just like the Mexicans, the tortillas tear us up. You know what I mean? Well,
and the refried beans.
Yeah, and
the rice.
And the that's exactly where I was going. So you can go in our culture and go to a wedding and look at the food that is served there. It's just very greasy, very just fattening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's bomb, don't get me wrong, but but when you were saying what you were saying, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like, dang, man, everything they brought to us, were different type of like bowls like this big, bro. I'm not kidding. Bowls like this big of olives.
Yeah.
With some seasoning on it or something like that. And everything was healthy. It was a healthy type of food.
It was very healthy.
And
they eat.
And they eat a bunch of it. Why? Because it's not filling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing. Before you go, this is the quote. Hard times create strong men.
That's right.
Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times.
That's right.
So, I mean.
And that's such a good quote. It brings things into perspective. But I was going to say, to answer the question about, to respond to the statement of the beans and the rice.
Yeah.
I think that's a United States thing.
Camera.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
I think that's a United States thing. Because you go to Mexico, and it's not so much that way.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
I remember Deanna had an uncle.
But are they laborers, or are they sitting on a desk, though? That adds to it, too.
Well, absolutely. They don't stop.
Yeah.
I remember her uncle was in her 90s. He would take the bus from Mexico all the way to Lathrop. He would come, and he would stay for 2 weeks and work.
Yeah.
He's in his 80s and 90s.
Golly.
He would go with my father-in-law and help out doing cement.
Yeah.
He'd get home, dude. He's cutting the trees, pruning the trees, cutting the grass. He's cleaning up all the, he's just nonstop. He didn't pass away until I think his late 90s.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot there, men or women. And so, but at the same time, they don't use a lot of the processed oils we have here. No. The corn, they don't have sweet corn.
Yeah, I remember you were saying that last time.
Yeah, it's illegal to sell that in Mexico.
The white corn?
Sweet corn.
The white corn.
Oh, sometimes it's not white. It's still yellow. But sweet corn is fabricated in a lab. There's no such thing as a sweet corn.
Yeah. I mean, yes,
yeah.
I know that.
And so in Mexico, it's a lot harder. It's when you eat it, dude, it's still good, but it's different. wheat. They don't eat. Like, here's the thing. Another thing over there. Like, you go to the honest families, nobody's eating flour tortillas.
Man, I love flour tortillas.
They're eating corn. they're all eating corn tortillas.
Yeah.
And like my father-in-law, he doesn't eat flour tortillas.
No?
No, he's not used to that. And so I'm not saying I'm sure maybe there's other parts, certain things, but they use lard, they use beef tallow, they use, it's not just all of those different types of things, as well. And I think in America, we just have gotten lazy. We take what's in front of us without asking questions.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like, I wish somebody would like create a movement.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, make America healthy again.
That's hella dumb. That's hella dumb.
Like, who's gonna it's so dumb that they argue with that, but who is really going to argue against making America healthy again?
Yeah.
But no, I agree, Dad. I've been on myself on my food portions.
Yeah.
Just minimizing my portions, minimizing, stretching more. And it's when I wake up and it's like I'm 47. I'm not 27 anymore.
So yeah, like guys, a lot of you probably don't know whatever. I used to be close to 400 pounds. Did you know that, Tino?
You told me.
So I'm not where I was, and that was 17. That's 8 years ago. So I never went back to 400 pounds. I sent a picture how I used to look. Justin, can you put it up? And but here's the thing. I need to continue. Yeah. And how can I look at this whole situation and not be part of the solution? And look at that on the left. I was 380 pounds on the left. And
you're a big dude, bro.
Yeah. And so I'm not there, but I know I'm not where I should be either. Mm-hmm. And just watching that McDonald's thing, man, I'm like, yeah, that.
I know a talk in my house is I'm not ever going to be to my BP. What is it called? My BMI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
body mass index.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm not gonna reach that. As a matter of fact, I don't want to reach that. Okay.
Yeah, me either.
But I understand where.
And you've had a heart attack.
Yeah, I've had 2.
Yeah.
I've had 2. I got 3 stents.
So this is something that is probably very.
It's very
conscious in your house.
As a matter of fact, because of what I changed when I turned 40, and because I went ahead and started exercising and doing all of this and started changing my diet up, when I got there, after they put the stents in my heart, I asked the doctor, I said, okay, what is it that I need to change? Yeah. He said, like what? I said, like, what caused this? That I need to, like, is it too much salt? Is it my cholesterol? Is it this? Is it whatever? Asked a bunch of questions. He said, nothing. I said, no. And I started getting mad in all reality.
Yeah.
And he was like, everything of what would have given you a heart attack, you were good. Your numbers are great.
Wow.
Don't change anything. He said the problem is that it's hereditary. So I can't change my genes, but I can change my genes going forward by the faith of God, right?
Amen.
In the trust of God. So I got baptized. I washed off this generational curse, and my children, and that's why I am, like, my wife doesn't get it. She always gets on my back. I have one boy who just loves to eat everything he sees, man.
The wrestler?
Yeah, he loves seafood. And what I mean by that, the old joke is when he sees food, he eats it. And so don't get me wrong, that's a strong boy. But, I remember being strong at 18 also.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it don't look so good when you're 40.
No way, man. It sucks at 40. And so, I'm very aware of it. I eat to get big. And then I change my diet so that way I can go ahead.
Yeah.
I like to shock the body. And so I get up to about 200. I'm cool there. And then I like to take my way back down.
It's been very conscious in our home.
187.
In our home right now because,
like
Sharon had that surgery where they fixed her stomach because she's had so many issues in the last year or so that they finally were able to fix it. You know what I mean? And so this is something that because she had surgery on her stomach, because her stomach had like a narrowing, basically, and so it's something that's very, very it's talking about. It's in our home right now. Like we got to change this. You know, now that it's almost like a restart for her because the way her stomach was, because it was in the middle, there was like a closing. Everything would give her heartburn. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And now it's like it gave her a new reset, a new start. And she's like, I want to use this restart and do it right. You know, so this is a talk that's been going. And then in the midst of that, in the midst of her
Watch
healing,
documentary.
I saw that documentary, you know what I mean? So anyways, I wanted to talk about that a little bit, you know, as we finish this off. I think we're already at an hour and a half.
I'd say for me, what made my mind go there was when we had Ezra. Because I was now in my mid-40s.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the energy level that I had when I was 25 when I had Angel.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, and it just hit me of just, Angel, are you going to be selfish? Are you going to be selfish and not give your third son the same, as at least your best effort?
Yeah.
To give him the same opportunity that he had that you gave the others,
or be around till he's an adult.
Absolutely. And you know, it was funny because I had this conversation with a believer yesterday. We were talking, and just about food and like the miracle of honey. You know, and just what it does in your body.
Yeah.
You know, organic, local honey. We were talking about just different things. And, you know, I hear Christians, you know, just kind of minimize this. It's like, listen, man, you know, don't tempt God. This is your body that you and I have a responsibility over to take care of.
Yeah.
And to minimize that responsibility is just very arrogant and very irresponsible. You know, and we all do it. I do it too. We just need to minimize that more and more because if we're abusing it, then we're not viewing it as stewards.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're looking at it as owners. And that's a really hard thing. And I'm not saying that to, you know, as if I've mastered that, you know, because I just ate a, you know, wonderful cinnamon roll before I came. But, and that was the bad thing is I did awesome today on my eating. And then I ate that cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
And I was just like, jeez, but man, it was so good.
Yeah.
Well, like the other day, Tomas brought spread, but it's been months since I had spread. Like I used to probably make spread 2 or 3 times a week.
Gee.
2 to 3 times a week. That's a lot, bro. You're talking about top ramen.
Yeah.
You know, and Sharon's like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it was a treat when he brought some because I can't even remember the last time I had spread.
Yeah.
But just it's little changes like that. You know? And that's what
Mm-hmm. What's the saying? Some live to eat and others eat to live.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, and I remember somebody had told me, remember Pastor Manuel Mendoza?
Yeah.
And he always told me, he said, Angel, nothing feels good like feeling good feels. And when he you know, he had stepped out of the ministry, he had left, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he became a trainer, health coach trainer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh man, he does some wealthy people. He's traveled with them. They've taken him on, you know, on their travels for different companies, and that's what he does. Him and his wife, they're professional trainers.
How come some people though, when they get real muscular, they look weird?
Yeah, they don't do legs.
like I probably shouldn't say this, but like Todd White,
yeah,
looks weird.
Yeah,
he looks weird. That dude Carrot Top, that he looks weird. I don't know what it is.
They don't have legs.
Like that's both of them. Yeah,
It's just this weird. It changes their neck and their face, where it just looks weird.
Well, that's what Manuel didn't do that. Manuel's whole thing was health, and that was another thing too that me and Deanna talked about when we started going back to the gym 1.5 years ago.
Yeah,
was I'm not going to measure myself. I'm not going to weigh myself. That's not my measure. That's not my measuring point. I want to live healthy.
Yeah,
and it's not about weight. I want to live healthy. You know, and that was a better mindset for me than just looking at pant size and weight. You know, I needed to change my mind because living healthy is the right way to do it. I haven't got there yet to where I wanted to, but I'm getting there, and I'm a lot closer than I was 1.5 years ago.
Like, why does he look like Macho Randy Savage now?
Yeah, boy.
What are those sticks called?
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys.
We got to go.
All right. See you guys next week, every single Tuesday at 4 o'clock now, not 4:30, at 4 o'clock, because Angel teaches a class now, and it started. And but God bless you. Thank you so much. Hopefully we hit some topics that you find interesting. Leave a comment. You know, we love to read your comments. Do you guys go back and look at the comments?
Yes, I do. As a
Yeah,
matter
me
of fact, I
too.
was looking
Oh,
at it today.
yeah.
What are those things called? The beef sticks. Remember Roger?
Slim Jims.
Slim Jims.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
All right, guys. God bless.
Blame it on the rain.